You had this paper, a wonderful paper in Annals of Math. You were supported by Siegel, by Gelfand, and still you needed to interact with female mathematicians at MIT to gain a kind of confidence. Could you explain this?
I mean, there's a whole aspect to being a female mathematician that certainly in those days, and I think still in these days, you know, you can't just say it's all the same whether you're a male or a female. I mean, one of the things was that I had a second life. You know, I was a mathematician, but I was a mother, I was a wife. And in those roles, I was very traditional. I did all the cooking. I did everything, actually. I did all the cooking. I did all the diaper changing. I did all the shopping. I did all the driving. I did all the earning money. I mean, I did everything because I was married to somebody who was a poet, and poets are just not very practical. And this particular poet was not capable of doing very many practical things. But, you know, I'd always had a great split in between sort of being a female and being a mathematician. I sort of was leading two lives for a long, long time. So it was very important at some point to begin to integrate that. And so I think meeting somebody, because there were a few women in Cambridge when I was a graduate student, but the women were very marginalized. I mean, exceptionally marginalized. Or they were people who were doing PhD, but then they were going to get married, and then they were not going to continue with their career, and those people I sort of dismissed. You know, I was looking for somebody who wanted to be a research mathematician. And the only person I knew who wanted to be a research mathematician was very marginalized. And then, you know, there were no other women mathematicians. So the first person I met was Rangli Peony, who's been a good friend ever since. But she was I met her, of course, like 2 months before I had to leave. I mean, it always happens if you travel around, you meet somebody just as you're leaving. But, you know, we gave her our VW car, and that was some kind of bond, and so we kept seeing her, and so I've known her for a long time. But I think it's actually incredibly important. It was very important to me to have somebody, because when I was young, you see, I didn't have any female friends. I didn't have friends at school. It was a short period of a year or two when I had some female friends, but then when I started having boyfriends, I cut myself off from them. And then I didn't have any female friends as a student or as a graduate student. So I had you know, these days I think women wouldn't be so cut off. So they would know other young women that they would have as friends, and it would be more integrated. But for me, it wasn't.